Hi, everyone. Welcome to the preview show delivered by FedEx. I'm Marty Snyder from NBC Sports. Regan Smith is joining us from the number 7 Toy State Chevrolet with Tommy Baldwin Racing. Nice to have him on the show, man. Appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here. Awesome day. We got the Hall of Fame in the background.
I know.
Nice day to be in Charlotte.
Pretty cool stuff. And fortunate for us, the 600 finished so quickly. I mean, were you amazed at how fast that race went and the dominance Martin Truex Jr. had?
You know what? I was very surprised how fast that race went. I mean, we're talking 3 hours and 40 minutes roughly. It felt quick in the race cars. It just seemed like you just got rolling. The sun had just gone down.
Right.
Typically at Charlotte, you wait for that next phase of the cars going through an adjustment period with how they're handling to happen. And it never really got there because the race was over by the time it did get there. So a quick race, and obviously Martin Truex Jr. and the whole 78 team, they pretty much put it on everybody Sunday night. That's the only thing I can say about that.
Well, let's talk about that. They've had speed like that the last couple of weeks, but did you expect a performance like that and that dominant?
You know, I think based on what we saw in practice from that team, and when you looked at the times, you thought, oh, a lot of times a car will practice that well, but it won't translate to the race. You just had that gut feeling that they were going to translate it to the race. They were starting on the pole, so they had the clean air from the start. And when he got out there in that clean air, he just took off, and it was pretty evident early on. Nobody had anything for him. They did a good job of keeping up with the track and keeping their car fast. And I wish I was surprised by it. I wasn't surprised by it. The only thing that surprised me was that we didn't see him do it the week before in the All-Star race also. Well,
I'm wondering, you're a guy in the garage area, obviously. When was the last time you saw a win this popular? Because it seemed like everybody was there congratulating him, and in the garage area, it was a very popular victory.
Yeah, well, certainly, I think we've all, it's been documented, Martin and Sherry's story, his longtime girlfriend, and what's gone on with them. Just a cool win to see, and Martin probably could have 4 wins this year. If you really look at the performance of that team, his performance and what's been going on, you could easily make a case that he could have 4 wins. So sometimes you get excited about guys winning. Martin's a well-liked guy in the garage area. You get excited to see that.
That turns quickly, though, when he starts to win a couple of races. So should the garage area be worried this weekend at Pocono? He's that dominant at Charlotte. Now we got a Pocono where he won this race last year.
I'd be very worried. I would be extremely worried if I was the garage area. He's got the track record there of going fast. Both races last season, I think they had a shot to win. They won one of them. I would not expect anything that much different this weekend at Pocono than what we saw at Charlotte. I think that 78 car is going to be very fast. If he keeps doing this, there's going to come a point where instead of getting all those high fives after the race, people are going to get a little bit more angry.
All right, we're halfway through the regular season, and it's time to start talking about who's going to make the chase and who might not make the chase. Let's check out the chase grid. After the Coca-Cola 600, you've got Kyle Busch in the lead, Jimmy Johnson there in second, and then Edwards, Keselowski, and you see the rest of the group from there. I'm curious from you, Regan, who's someone not on this list, someone we're not seeing right now that you think has a really good shot to make the chase?
Well, I look at, there's a couple guys that I think could do it. You got a guy like Casey Kane, a guy like maybe Kyle Larson. The one to me that sticks out more than any of them right now would be an A.J. Allmendinger. I like A.J. for a number of reasons, too. That team's had consistent speed all year long. There's 2 road courses coming up. We've seen what A.J. Allmendinger can do on a road course, so I would expect him to be good at both those and maybe even get a win. Just win his way in and not have to worry about the points.
When you look at those teams on the chase grid, which team and maybe driver has impressed you the most this year?
Well, Truex, I think, has been very impressive. We've already documented him, though, and said a lot about him. The team that I've personally been the most impressed with is a guy like Chase Elliott. Here's a rookie who's gone out, and every week, he's been in the top 10. He's had that consistency. That team's had the speed. You can make the argument that him and Jimmy are kind of leading that company right now along as they go. So I've been really impressed with what Chase Elliott's done. We'll see when it gets down to chase time what happens. Right now, I think he could be a guy to watch later on.
Chase Elliott impressively 10th on the chase grid as of right now. All right, you mentioned Pocono. That's where we shift our attention to this weekend. It's been a few years since you've been to Pocono. What kind of challenges overall does that racetrack present? And with you not being there for the last couple of years, what kind of challenges are you saying, man, I got to think about that this weekend?
Yeah, it presents a lot of challenges, not only the drivers, but the crew chiefs, too. You got a racetrack with 3 completely different corners, modeled after 3 totally different racetracks. We shift, which anytime you're on an oval and you throw shifting into the mix, that's a recipe for disaster because we're going to miss one at some point. We're not going to hit that gear just right. So we're talking about shifting. We're talking about 3 different corners, trying to set your car up for all 3 of those corners, but determine which one's going to be the most important one for you as you get going around the racetrack. So it typically, ends up being a pretty good race when all's said and done.
All right, who you putting on your NASCAR Fantasy Live roster this week as a winner? Who are you picking for the win? Other than, of course, you.
Other than me in the 7 car, I'm gonna ride the Truex train still. I'm sticking with Martin. I think he goes back to back this weekend.
I think it's gonna be tough to beat Joe Gibbs Racing this weekend. Obviously, tough to not pick Denny Hamlin, but I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch this weekend. I think they've been a little off the last few weeks, searching for a little bit of speed. I see them getting back on track. He's obviously been good at Pocono in the past. I could see them winning there this weekend. Of course, make sure you check out the racing action this weekend on FS1. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. That's FS1, the We Paint Winners, Axalta 400 at Pocono. Next week, we'll be back here with a preview show delivered by FedEx. We'll talk about the Michigan race, a 2-mile track up in the Irish Hills. Regan, great to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome being here. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys enjoy the Pocono race weekend, everybody.